question number one, of course, is where is Tasik Chini? For those of you who have not been, Tasik Chini is in the beautiful state of Pahang. And if you're from the Klang Valley, it's about 3 hours car drive in the Karak Highway. And if you're from Kuantan and the East Coast, it's about 1 hour drive from that area. It occupies roughly slightly larger than the whole size of Putrajaya at 50.85 square kilometer. It is a massive area, and it is God's gift to Malaysia and of course to the state of Pahang. Now, one very interesting fact is that everybody knows what Loch Ness is, or everybody knows where Loch Ness, where it is, yeah, where is it located and so on. Everybody knows. You just drive up to Scotland. Loch Ness is very, very popular, sells a lot of t-shirts, there's a lot of videos, there's a lot of movies as well, you know. But very few Malaysians know that Tasik Chini itself has an endearing folklore link to monsters, yeah. So Tasik Chini itself has its own naga, you know, stories of a great dragon that lives in the lake, yeah. Very interesting. Okay, enough about dragons. Let's move on. Why is Tasik Chini special? Apart from beautiful images or Instagrammable images that beautiful sites like this offer to visitors, I think most important to me and to a lot of my friends in the NGO world, and people who are trying to protect this place or highlight this place as a beautiful area, is its natural assets. Number one, I think on top of my list is the tribe of Jakuns that call Tasik Chini their home. And they have been there for centuries. So why is it so special? It is a beautiful habitat. It has a very unique cultural linkage to the land, which is the Orang Asli. It is home to a lot of unique and diverse wildlife and plants. Some plants are considered critically endangered in the area due to some of the issues that's going on there. And of course, for a lot of bird watchers and even fishermen, folks out there, Tasik Chini offers an experience to catch the giant snakehead, for example, the ikan toman. Yeah. So that what makes Tasik Chini interesting and stands out in more words than one. Next, please. But why is it important in terms of a feature? Yeah, why is it important? Number one, Tasik Chini is a critical ecosystem. Malaysia we only have 2 natural freshwater lakes. One of it is Tasik Bera, and the second, this one, is Tasik Chini. And when people move, imagine you're a frontier and you come to a new land, and if you want to build yourself a home, or you want to build yourself a population or an area just to stay, you will find a place with access to fresh water. Yeah. So the first place that you see, if you see Tasik Chini, you can say this is a very important resource, because fresh water is very, very important for humans, for agriculture, for economy, and so on. Yeah. So Tasik Chini is a critical ecosystem because it is a freshwater lake. Not many countries, not many states have freshwater lakes. Yeah. And as I said, unique habitat for wildlife and indigenous community. Number two, it offers ecosystem services that are invaluable. It acts as a water catchment. It supplies and regulates fresh water. It regulates water levels and prevents flooding to the river basin of Sungai Pahang. It regulates climate. It is a carbon sink. And for climate change, it addresses and it helps to reduce the effects of climate change. It is a biological gene bank. And most important for us is a food bank. Yeah. And number three, why is Tasik Chini important? We are one of the 12, Malaysia, yeah, is one of the 12 mega diverse countries in the world. All 12 countries around the world, especially along the equatorial belt, we house or are home to about 75% of known biodiversity in the world. Malaysia is one of the 12. Being one of the 12, we are blessed with amazing biodiversity. And with amazing biodiversity, here's a chance for us as a country to take full advantage of tourism. So Tasik Chini is important, potentially, as it was 30 years ago, and today is an important site for tourism, ecotourism, edutourism, and cultural tourism. And if it's planned and managed carefully, these sectors of economy will bring in sustainable income for not only for the local community, but for the country as well. That's why it's very important. Next, please. Now, the good news. And if you can see, I put in little fonts at the end, the good news, back in 2009, well, let's see. So Tasik Chini is home to some of the most enigmatic birds that you can find. The Wrinkled Hornbill, the photo on the top right, that's a beautiful photo of the Wrinkled Hornbill, one of the 10 species found in our country. It has a beautiful list of natural assets, 24 aquatic plants, 24 species of aquatic plants, 138 species of plants and trees, 304 species of wildlife recorded here, 200 species of birds, and 87 species of freshwater fish. I can bet you not a lot of people in our country knows that there's 87 species of freshwater fish in the whole country, let alone in Tasik Chini and in the freshwater lake system in the first place. Yeah. Did you? Well, anyway, that's it. Sorry, can I go back, please? Right. So it is home to the Jakun indigenous community. That's the good news. And in 2009, UNESCO accepts and designated Tasik Chini as Malaysia's first biosphere reserve, our first biosphere reserve. There's only 2 in our country so far. Yeah, out of 714 biosphere reserves in the world, Malaysia has 2. And the latest in our country, just being designated, is the Crocker Range. And that is quite recent, in October 2020. That's the good news. We are on the world map. We are one of the 714. Tasik Chini is the first of the 2 in our country. And immediately the resources were put aside to create a research center that is run by UKM currently, so that people can study Tasik Chini and can welcome visitors and guests. Next slide, please. What is a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve? Very important for our talk today. Yeah? A biosphere reserve basically means a special place for testing interdisciplinary approaches to understanding and managing changes and interactions between ecosystem services, conflict prevention, and management of biodiversity. Yeah, basically, in short, it's a special place where we are supposed to use to study the effects between man and development, to study the effects between how we conflict with wildlife and natural ecosystems, and a special place all around in terms of biodiversity. Now, for a place to be designated a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, it must have 3 different zones, 3 different areas. Yeah. Number 1, it has to have a core area of strictly protected ecosystem. There must be a core area. Number 2, there must be a buffer zone surrounding the core area. Yeah, and this can be used for activities compatible, yeah, to the site on reason why it's preserved. And number 3, a transitional area where a lot more activities can be done, tourism, for example, being one of them. So a core area is needed, a buffer zone that has to be protected, and a transitional area where we'll allow a lot of people to come and visit, and for commerce and industry, small industries to take part, to get involved and so on. A special place, yeah? So that's why Tasik Chini was designated and given a branding called UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. Next, please. This is a snapshot, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, about the agenda for our discussion and presentation today. I stand on the shoulders of many environmental groups, local activists, people in the media who have been highlighting the issues that is coming out from Tasik Chini for many, many years. Yeah. So I like to thank them. I wish them all the best as we continue to push for things to go get better for Tasik Chini. So the photograph on top is Tasik Chini before, which means I think 2009 or something like that, or even a bit recent. And the bottom, the photo below is a photograph taken in April or May of this year, 2021. That says it all, actually. But let's dive into this. Next, please. What went wrong? What went wrong? Number one, although it was designated a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, since the 1990s, 14 licenses have been issued. Plantations have been allowed to be developed in all corners of Tasik Chini. Yeah. So 2009 was the big designation of UNESCO, but already the area has been degraded or being degraded in terms of its buffer zones and transitional areas for years before. Yeah. So 14 known licenses have been issued. There's also been a lot of cases uncovered even by Politan Utama as illegal mining going on in the area. And you can, if you could Google today, Tasik Chini and destruction or Tasik Chini problems or issues, you will be met with a Google search of not less than 300, I think, hits, all showing and focusing a lot of negative things that's been going on in Tasik Chini. I would like to quote one of the Orang Aslis actually spoke to a visitor there and said this, and this is captured in the screen grab in the center left of the screen. Yeah. It said, "We are trapped. We turn left, we face palm oil plantations. We turn right, we see logging. Behind us, we see iron ore mines. And facing the lake, we can see that it is dying." Quote unquote, it is dying. Although the state land office says there's no licenses have been issued in as far as March 2019, this is captured on 12 June 2021, we see that the news on the ground is a bit different than what we've been told. Yeah? So this is what went wrong. Next, please. So apart from all the 14 licenses and 2 active licenses that's going on at the very buffer zone of Tasik Chini, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about 3 kilometers away or 5 kilometers away and so on. This is right next to the water's edge of Tasik Chini. So on dry seasons, it is not that bad. It's just a big wash of brown hills all around Tasik Chini. But once it rains, guess where the water goes to? Right next to it is Tasik Chini, 10 feet away. Yeah. So what has happened, ladies and gentlemen? There was a new license in April of 2021 that was announced, and an EIA, an Environmental Impact Assessment Report, came out for public display and for public comments, yeah, stating that over 40.51 hectares, this is the size of 60 football fields, yeah, has been approved for mining. This is April of 2021, just a few months ago, yeah. And of course, this seemed like the final nail on the coffin, where a lot of NGOs, Sam Perka, yeah, Otai, Manjung, and so on, they all jump on board. All the environmental activists and groups jumped on board to scream to say, hey, you know, it's happening again and again, and this time 40.51 hectares. Yeah, it became so bad that at the end, thankfully, 14 June, the regent of Pahang, the acting sultan, yeah, he himself had to turun Padang. He had to come down. He went to visit Tasik Chini, and he was amazed or shocked by what he saw. And he immediately ordered that forest reserves, the buffer zones of Tasik Chini, to be quickly expanded, gazetted. Yeah. So thank God, I mean, thankfully for his intervention in this case, yeah, things seem to have slowed down and stopped for a while. And very quickly, 25th of June, right, as soon as the regent gave his comments and his advice, the Forestry Department, as cited in Bernama, tells us now that it will take about 20 million ringgit for us, yeah, to rehabilitate Tasik Chini. And this money, ladies and gentlemen, guess where it's going to come from? Yeah, have you paid your chukai already? Okay, so anyway, 20 million is going to be needed. Yeah, and the next interesting issue would be also very recently, it was already quoted in the papers that the UNESCO's governing body is now thinking of reviewing Tasik Chini's gazettement. It's going to come under review, which means Tasik Chini may lose its designation as a UNESCO reserve. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will not only bring shame to our country, it'll bring shame to the state of Pahang, and of course, it'll bring shame to us, the members of the public, who are losing not only a precious biological heritage, yeah, but a source of untold sustainable income, yeah, if this were to happen. Is disaster averted in this case? Ever since the marching orders given by His Highness the Regent, there has been very little work on the ground, although there's still heavy machineries still sited on the lands next to it. Yeah, and some groups are even starting to talk about replanting in that site. Yeah, is that disaster averted in this case? I don't know, and to be honest, although I'm hopeful, we keep vigilant, but I think the war is far from over. You know? The battle may be won, but the war is far from over. Let's talk more on the next slide. This is my favorite part. Yeah? So what else can we do? Yeah. So what, Andrew? So what can we do? You know, yes, we are upset. So yes, this is news to us. Yes, the mining companies are terrible. You know, yes, we shouldn't use taxpayers' money to clean up somebody else's mess. You know, but what else can we do? You know, what else can we do? Number one, I think, my dear Malaysians and friends around the world listening today, I think number one, it is beholden on us, yeah, as modern day citizens, to be eco-friendly. Let's just be eco-friendly. Let's start with that. Yeah? How many of you have not been to Tasik Chini? How many? Yeah. Some people told me Tasik Chini, they thought it was in Sarawak, you know. Yeah. My God. So anyway, a lot of people don't even know, Malaysians, yeah, don't even know where Tasik Chini is. And the very fact that they don't know, yeah, they would not have gone to visit or think about visiting. And there goes the chance to showcase that Tasik Chini can bring in tourists and visitors. So point number one, ladies and gentlemen, be eco-friendly, you know, be an eco-tourist. Why don't, instead of planning the trip to Bali or France and Paris, you know, why don't you think about going local as soon as borders open? Go and visit, you know, give your money to local communities there, you know, show the state that revenue can be made from beautiful sites like this, Tasik Chini. Yeah. So number one, the first thing I want you guys to do is go and visit Tasik Chini and all the beautiful natural sites around our country. Yeah. Number two, we need to reduce our carbon footprint. We are heavily using a lot of resources. Right now, during the COVID era, is a click of a button, things get packaged from the local restaurants and it comes to your house and it ends up in your rubbish bin and it goes to the landfill. Yeah? A lot more plastics, a lot of rubber has been used, are being used right now, and for the next foreseeable a year or two. We need to be less heavy in terms of a carbon footprint. Planting tree is good, yeah, that's a good effort to take the initiative, but Most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to buy and use less products. Buy and use less. You know, you have to go minimalistic at times. Yeah, it's also good for your own economy. Number three, we need to push for better political will. It is a sad day when the sultans or royalties themselves have to come down to see and to scold people. You know, we have to hold our politicians responsible for everything that happens in managing our country's assets. Yeah, so we need to push for better political will. The next candidates in the next GE, I think we need to corner them to come up with a green agenda, come up with their own environmental agenda, which should be very important for us moving forward as a country. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to get involved. The reason why the latest issue has brought upon all this activity and action in the newspaper and media recently about Tasik Chini is because there was an EIA and a public display. A lot of people have got involved in the EIA process, submitted their comments and so on, because they took part in the process. Had they not done this, ladies and gentlemen, this project, this mining license would have gone quietly in the night. You know, it would have been approved immediately, and things would have happened so fast on the ground that before we know it, in the blink of an eye, the whole Tasik Chini is destroyed forever. So most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, for big, massive projects, developers need to submit an environmental impact assessment as prescribed by or managed by the Department of Environment. So if I were you, please read up on environmental impact assessments. Like a lot of the environmental groups, Facebooks and websites and so on, yeah, get yourself acquainted with the facts. And most importantly, get involved in the processes. There are processes, and if you do not get involved in the process, we cannot be so much effectively part of the solution. That, I think, ladies and gentlemen, encapsulates the 4 points that I think I wanted to convey to you this beautiful evening. Save Tasik Chini. Next slide, please, is my final. So thank you once again to the audience for some of your questions. I think I already see some. Thank you for Badan Warisan for organizing this wonderful platform. And we are here to have a conversation. We're here to have a chat with you, yeah, Professor Latiff and I. Very happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Andrew, for taking us through a wonderful journey to Tasik Chini, though not on a boat as I expected, but through this internet media, highlighting the wonders of Tasik Chini then and the possible disasters in the making as we speak now. And I'm sure as responsible citizens of the country, you and me, we have the responsibility. What Andrew was asking was, what can we do to help? What can we do to address this issue through all our resources and sources? As our chairman, Dato Zahim, pointed out earlier, we would like to welcome question through the question and answer box. And I will read some of the questions and I will invite Andrew or anybody else to chip in the answers. All right, there was a there was a question from Vanessa herself. Where is the second UNESCO Biosphere located? As Andrew said, it is in Sabah, in the Crocker Range, south of Gunung Kinabalu, right down south. It is a national park, Crocker Range National Park, designated in 2020. And last week, it was launched for the benefits of the local pre-boomies living there. There is another question, Andrew. I'll go from Sophine 10. or 10, why doesn't the state government of Pahang make it essential for the mining and logging companies that were involved in the destruction of Tasik Chini pay for the rehabilitation of Tasik Chini? What say you, Andrew? The 20 million.
Okay. Sorry, I hope sorry, I hope that you can hear me. I've lost audio, but thank you, Professor. I think there's something wrong again with my system, but let me try to answer. Let's go to answer one of the questions. Yeah, Vanessa asked about where is it located. So the first one actually is part of the Crocker Range, right? Second is why don't the state government of Pahang make it essential for mining and logging companies that were involved in the destruction of Tasik Chini pay for the rehabilitation of Tasik Chini? Well, we have not come to that yet, at least not externally. I hope internally there's been a lot of conversation or discussion going on internally about who has started the damage, you know, and who is bound legally to clean up. Yeah. So I think the best thing to do would be to get the offenders to pay. Yeah. But there's been a long series of mining in the area. So I wish the state government good luck to finding the actual culprit. But again, since we're not privy to the contracts, yeah, we don't know what internally the documents are. We do hope that the state government stand firm and get the culprits themselves to pay for the pollution. Yeah. Professor, would you like to take on the next question, because I will try to retest
the next question comes from Anonymous. All right, fair enough. Can the NGO work collectively together to get the Sultan of Pahang, or the region of Pahang in this case, to save Tasik Chini and get him to be the patron? Of course, this gentleman or lady say hello to you, Andrew, and thanks for your enlightening.
Oh, I can hear you. Thank you. Excellent.
Can you read now?
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes.
You mentioned EIA on those projects. What was going on?
Well,
were there loopholes in EIA?
Well, iron ore, precious minerals, and even gold. Yeah. Yeah. So the latest being iron ore. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. And thank God there was a public display of the EIA. Otherwise, a lot of us won't know that such a project or such a license existed. Yeah. So and as I said, this is one of 14, and 2 is still active, the licenses. Yeah. Until the end of the year, I think 1. Sorry, go ahead, Prof.
Okay, the next question I think is from the same, not sure, a gentleman or a lady, anonymous attendee. If the Sultan is agreeable, which NGO can spearhead this campaign? Of course, it is a prerogative of the region to do this. What do you think, Andrew?
I think the Sultan will leave it to the state as managers of the resources. I think he has said, please expand the buffer zones, gazette a bigger chunk of forest as a buffer zone. But the question now is that exact miner that's right next to the lake, you know, is the state going to compensate them and then cancel off their contract, you know, and get them to rehabilitate? That we're not sure. Yeah, but a lot of good people, I think, a lot of academics, a lot of professionals are out there who are able to help rehabilitate the water quality and the lake as well as the land. Yeah, it's a matter of giving them a chance and giving them a real chance for them to rehabilitate. Yeah, pushing away all other mining sector and even some of the plantations away from the core area of Tasik Chini.
Thank you. The next question came from Anand. He asked, what about the 14 existing licenses given prior to 2009?
Oh, okay. I think only 2 remain active right now. I think one was expiring maybe in July or August, and then the other one expiring in December. So hopefully they do not get renewed, yeah, and they do not get to work the mines there. Hopefully with a new push, yeah, they will cancel off any other future projects that's going to come very close to the area. Yeah, we are worried about the core area, which is Tasik Chini. And as the UNESCO classification goes, they also need the buffer zone to be protected and the transition area as well. So there must be a big drawback of land, at least 10, 20 kilometers away from Tasik Chini if any serious work is going to be allowed in terms of changing the land use. So they need a big buffer zone.
So 12 have expired. 2
yes.
Pending.
Yes.
Thank you, Andrew. The next question comes from, I think she is my friend. I know her. Musrifat Idris.
Oh.
Well, her question, we need to know how much is the state involvement in the conservation issues.
And unfortunately, Pahang has a lot of natural resources, yeah, and the idea of logging and the idea of mining, and plantations are often very, very sexy. It's easy, it's quick money to the state, it's quick revenue, yeah, and so on. So unfortunately, with states with a lot of land bank, such as Pahang and even Sarawak and so on, I think it's very easy to fall in the trap. But for the state of Pahang, I think a lot of people are trying to get them to turn the curve, in terms of investing into ecotourism. So a lot of people are trying to get Pahang to move in that direction. And with the region now, he seems to be a very green gentleman. Yeah, in his leadership, in his stewardship for now, I hope that we see better things happening for the state of Pahang. But like in many states in our country, it's not just Pahang. Like many states of the country, the state governments have not done enough to inject a lot of ecotourism projects to spur the economy. They can do a lot more.
Thank you, Andrew. This is really. The next question came from Alia Harun. Well, considering the area is designated as a biosphere reserve, isn't there a Malaysian policy or law that protects the buffer zone from being mined?
That's a very, very good question. Thank you. Thank you. I don't have the answer. Yeah, but and it seems like, it was overlooked. A buffer zone on the area has been overlooked in terms of an area right next to the lake, yeah, where you saw the images, yeah, it's overlooked. So there was supposed to be a lot of gazettement of the areas, what used to be primary forest, I think, yeah. It was taken down and mining was allowed, yeah. So we hope it can be corrected. It's never too late. There's no point having a discussion like this if it's already too late and we missed the bus, yeah. But it's never too late. And taking a cue from the region and His Majesty, I think we need to quickly take back that land, all the pieces of land that's next to it, especially in the core and the buffer zones, and replant, rehabilitate, get experts in, and do all they can to even protect the orang asli's income, yeah, and their livelihood.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm also keeping up the time. Now is 4:42. The next question, I think, is quite related to the previous one. I think it came from Yang Eng, Kah Yang Eng, asking why the 14 license had been approved. And this is something I'm not sure either. He was asking about the illegal land opening near the lakes. Why doesn't, why doesn't yeah, no, the question follows what had happened in Raub recently. I think this is irrelevant. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Is there any illegal land opening there?
Well, the TV3 covered a lot of the issues of illegal mining going on there. You know, when there's money to be made, of course, there's a lot of illegal activities happening. Yeah, so it's not just Tasik Chini. I think it's all across the country. Yeah, so I think a short answer to this would be I don't know why it's happened. Thank goodness we can do something about it now. Okay, and we hope that there's enough political will and attention to this issue. And we hope that we get back a thriving Tasik Chini, yeah, for that sense.
Thank you, Andrew. The next question came from Effendi Yang Amri. This is interesting. I think Andrew just mentioned what is the condition of the core area presently. And by the way, how large is the core area? I think you have mentioned.
Yeah, I've read a few. I've read the EIA also. There seems to be three different area sizes. Especially even reading the reports, three different quotes on what is the size of the buffer zone as well. You know, so I really don't know. Dr. Fendi, I think yes, but the condition is it's bad. Yeah, meaning the water quality looks bad. The orang aslis that we talked to, I went there in like 2019. They rather not eat the fish from the lake anymore because they say it smells. Yeah, so a lot of sedimentation is at the bottom of the lake, churning up, of course, whenever it rains. Yeah, so in my mind, the buffer zone should be at least 25 kilometers or more from Tasik Chini. Depends on the topography and so on. But a quick answer, I'm not really able to quote specific numbers right now, but send us but I will be happy to share in terms of an email what we found officially to some of the gazettes. Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. I think this question is an extension of anonymous attendee again. Would you say that conserving wetland, Tasik Chini is one, and other freshwater ecosystem is widely underestimated, seeing what had happened in Tasik Chini, Andrew?
Yes, I think Professor is smiling because he also has been involved in this for many years. Yes, and it's not just wetlands conservation. I think it's conservation of a lot of our natural resources, be it coral reefs to the highlands. Yeah, so we've done a poor job. Yeah, we've done a poor job in protecting and managing them. Yeah, yes, water resources, fresh water is very important to us because every now and then we run out of water. You know, when there's going to be a drought hitting us or there's been a big flash flood, we lose a lot of water for a country that has a lot of rainfall. Yeah, so we need to protect our water resources better. We're doing a bad job since.
Thanks, Andrew. This is a very optimistic question coming from Ki Hao Han. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Andrew, can you explain more on how can we get involved in this process?
I think yes, thank you. I think that was my last point in my slide. I think I have to get involved in the process. You cannot be a silent listener and a keyboard warrior. You have to go a step beyond. We need to find out if you go to the Department of Environment (DOE), they will list down all the public display EIA reports out there. Every big projects we need an EIA. It's going to be listed there. And most often than not, it always has to do with some area of a forest or river or some mining. Yeah? So please get involved. If you don't want to go through all the trouble, then join PERCA or Sahabat Alam Malaysia. Join their website and the Facebook groups. Because they will alert members of the public about things happening around you. Important, critical environmental issues. So get involved. Every now and then, please put a post on your Facebook or Instagram about how you love nature, and how you wish you can visit Tasik Chini, Tasik Bera, Tasik Temenggo, Pedu or something like that, to say that there's interest so that the government sees that people are interested to visit these beautiful sites. And when you visit, spread your money out to the local communities, because they need it too.
Very true, indeed. And I think Mushrifah is not happy with your previous answer, and now she's pursuing with another one. How can people like you, NGO, and me, pressure the government on the conservation issues? And in particular, what is the role of the federal government here?
Well, again, the federal government has I don't know whether it's an easy way out for them. Yeah, the federal government says they are federal. Land matters actually belong to the state. So we cannot touch this because this is a land matter. Stuff like that. Maybe sometimes I think it's a pretty easy way out for them to say, hey, we can't do this. We can't touch this because it's state. But I think if you give the states enough incentive, and if you have good leadership that can push towards this direction, I think anything is possible. Especially if you want to talk about federalizing water supplies or as an asset and so on. If you want to tell the world that you are a green nation, that you want to be a developed country by 2020, oops, it's 2021 now. You want to tell the world that you have Ramsar sites, you have UNESCO Biosphere, you have geoparks, you have state parks, beautiful national parks. We have the oldest rainforest in the world. If you want to go out there and tell the world that we are special, we are interesting, you should come visit or invest in us, I think the federal government should play a bigger role in trying to coax or trying to negotiate with the state in terms of something that goes beyond political agendas. This is for the country and this is for the resources for ourselves. And yes, NGOs must continue to pressure, although we ourselves cannot do. There's not enough NGOs out here, doing this work. Yeah, so we need the public to step forward.
Just imagine if this is in Penang. Penang is has a very active NGOs.
Yeah, Penang not doing so good on the environment. Yes.
Anonymous again pursue Andrew by asking, what is the real major reason of the destruction around Tasik Chini?
I think
mining.
I think mining, yes, mining, and I think go back to human nature. I think is greed and manipulation of processes. Yeah. So to put a tag, I think it's the mining operations that some plantations have taken the land as well. But that was before the UNESCO branding. Yeah. But again, it's mismanagement, I would think, and we need to keep an eye on the people that allow for licenses to be approved and so on. Yeah. So I hope the powers that be that's listening in and so on understand the real issue is that we're not sitting here because we want to buy shares in Tasik Chini homestays or something. We want Tasik Chini to remain because it's a natural asset to the whole world. Yeah. It's Warisan. It's our natural heritage.
The next question comes from Tan Si Shu. I think I can help to answer this.
Okay, please go ahead.
When UNESCO awarded us 2009, right, Andrew? I think Dato Mushrifah can answer this too. What UKM did prior to 2009 was to write a proposal to the state, to the federal government, which is the state party to UNESCO, through the state government, and I'm sure through the Pekan district office, and the federal government took the nomination to the UNESCO Assembly, and we were awarded in 2009. But here, possibly Dato Mushrifah can answer, who is in charge of this site? Can you enlighten us, Andrew? Who is in charge of the site?
Well, for the again, the research center was built and given to UKM to run. Yeah, so they occupy a small piece of that land. Yeah, where the research center is, and there's beautiful forest around it. Yeah, but all around, mining has been allowed, and plantations, and of course logging and so on. Yeah, so the core area, which is to me is the lake itself. Yeah, I think there seems to be a no man's land. It's under UNESCO, of course, but there's no UNESCO team, and there's no Jawatan Kuasa Khas for this and so on. So it belongs to the state. Yeah, although having been given the designation of a UNESCO biosphere, I think the federal and state government both has actually gotten a lot of positive or got a lot of incentives for such a designation.
Thank you, Andrew. The next question is not related. Is Tasik Chini located or situated in the Hutan Simpan Kau? Are you sure? Is Tasik Chini located in the permanent reserve forest?
Well, a portion of the area is a permanent forest reserve. Again, the latest news coming out, again, there's been some question marks on whether it was already being gazetted as a permanent forest reserve. We are still waiting for Forestry Department to do an audit and respond to that. But the news coming out from Forestry Department is that they are looking into it, and in the meantime, they're going to go ahead and reforest the area. Yeah, but the news that came out, and that's what the region was saying in his remarks, that he wants the permanent forest reserve to be expanded. So I would assume, again, so many different figures floating out there. I would assume it's already part of a permanent forest reserve area, but the reason for the new push is to get it expanded in terms of its buffer zones and so on.
I think it's true, because there was a statement from the state forestry director saying that the current permanent forest reserve may be extended, but I'm not sure how many more hectares or acres to be extended. We'll find out later. Our friend, anonymous attendee here, is pressuring us now, Andrew. And he said it would appear that there is no real focus or campaign to save Tasik Chini. This is a very strong statement. You can't leave it to the region or the state government. Why not? To lead. Which NGO can lead? You must lead. What say you, Andrew?
I think he's talking to Dato Zahim and Professor Latiff.
No, I'm not sure about that.
No, I'm sorry to make a joke of it, but I think everybody.
Perhaps.
Everybody. Sorry, Dato Zahim, go ahead.
Yeah. No, perhaps he would like to take whoever he or she would like to take a lead.
Well, it's easy to point. It's easy to point
strongly enough.
Yeah, there's no focus, because I work with a lot of NGOs as well. I have a lot of friends in all our NGOs, and we don't have many NGOs, and all of us, this is not really a full-time job for us. There's just so much of issues in our beautiful country to address. Yeah, unfortunately, you pick up the paper and you see there's always bad news. Yeah, so from the things happening in Pulau Pinang, from the things happening in Raup and even in Kuantan, from things happening in the buffer zones of in Kuala Tembeling and even the buffer zones of Taman Negara, there's logging going on happening everywhere. In Temenggong, which forest reserve, which is next to Royal Belum State Park, there's also heavily being logged right now as we speak. Yeah, there's a lot of issues. So the reason why there is no one main Save Chini campaign, there was one years ago, I was not involved. Yeah, it's just that there's just a lot of things happening, and we need more Malaysians. Yeah, more Malaysians, even as you're an individual, to stand up, to start speaking. You can't just leave it on a few people. We have to it takes a village. It takes a village. So I would like to appeal, if you're anonymous, your name is anonymous, there you go, that's the problem right there. Put your name out there, and be counted. We are doing it for a good reason, and hopefully you are blessed with good results.
I'm still keeping up with the time now. We are closing to 5 o'clock in the evening, and Effendi Yang Amri still continue with another question. Is there any possibility for the miners and developers to pay for what they have done? And in particular,
yes.
Now this is a sensitive matter. I won't read.
I think it's a good. I think it's a good point. I think it's a good point. Sorry?
I think at least it's a constructive suggestion then.
I think it's a good point. I've been a bit rusty with my EIA processes because we haven't done that so long. But it is a good point for developers, yeah, to pay into a deposit, holding money, instead of waiting for them to mess up and then pay a fine, at the end. So it's a good point, Fendi. It's a good point. I don't know why it has not been institutionalized yet. As far as I know, it should be. It could be one of the special conditions set upon the approval of an EIA. Yeah, and that again, of course, will be a matter for the state to handle. So again, we are hopeful that all this information, all this feedback that we're getting, and for people who are listening, especially those in powers, I think it doesn't take a lot for you to actually, when you want to approve a massive project that has negative impacts on the environment, I think you need to think about all these kind of things. Yeah.
This is an old issue brought about by Alia Harun again with regard to the viewing of EIA report. And normally the report is put in the district office, is it?
Yes. Yeah. The DOE has it. It'll be on the DOE website, and it'll be in the libraries of the municipal councils. Yeah, in the libraries as well. Yeah, so you can go and have a look. Yeah, and most important, the first point is always the DOE website. Yeah, they are quite fast. They put it up so that people can get involved in the process.
But the hard copy is not.
Hard copies not. Yeah, unfortunately, you're not allowed to take hard copies out. You can go in and view and take notes. You can't even photograph it. You can't even go to library and photograph. I don't know why they don't allow that, but you can go and take notes. Yeah.
Is it available online?
No.
It's not. It should be made available online.
Well, that's another good point. That's another good point. Yeah. So I think that's another valid point. Yeah. It shouldn't be stuck in the library somewhere where you have to go and physically look. It should be made available. Yeah. Should be.
Yeah.
This is a new guy.
This is for the public.
Sorry, this is a new guy coming with a question. Azaha Mushabri, Abdul Muttalib. What can we do to revive the tourism industry in Tasik Chini?
I think that's a good point. It's difficult to promote because they'll say Indah Kabarai Rupa. Yeah? If you go now, it's all brown in one side. Yeah, and if it rains, God help you, the whole water turns brown as well. Yeah, so it's difficult to promote it as a tourism place when we haven't got into rehabilitating the place first. Yeah, so I think this is a phase where the state government has to take, and the federal government, of course, have to take into concern that take this opportunity. Now there's a lockdown. Take this opportunity to try to phase out all the minings that's going on right now. You need to put in a plan in place, bring in the experts to rehabilitate. We need to do that. We need to bring back the birds and the wildlife and so on to the area. And then come up with a better plan that works in terms of a sustainable product. So, and once that is ready, I think the tourism industry will rebound much better than it has been in the past few years. As a product and as an asset, it's there, it's fine, it's wonderful. I mean, it can regenerate, But if mining continues, especially, and if you don't do anything about it, there's no point in us promoting the place.
The next question, possibly Dato Zahim can answer this. It came from Dato Musrifa. What have Badan Warisan done so far on this issue?
Well, but we've it's very Badan Warisan Malaysia's main focus is actually built heritage, and although we do support other NGOs who are involved in the conservation of natural heritage or intangible heritage, our main focus is actually built heritage, which are old buildings, historical buildings that we feel should be preserved and conserved. So our main focus is not actually on the natural heritage. Well, I do have a question which has actually been posted later on whether there has been any archaeological studies done around Tasik Chini. Because as a child, I remember growing up and my father telling me stories about the Naga at Tasik Chini, but also that there's the possibility of a submerged ancient city at Tasik Chini. Do you know, Professor and Andrew, do you know of any possible archaeological studies that have been done in Tasik Chini?
Professor?
No? Have you heard about the possibility of a submerged ancient city at Tasik Chini?
Professor, you want to take this?
No. I dare not. Andrew?
No?
Well, it's folklore for as far as I'm concerned. The link to the old Khmer is folklore. It's interesting. You know, I've not read much about it, so I wouldn't be in any position to comment. But again, there's been a lot of studies done, I think, by UKM for the area, especially. Not enough, I think, but there's been some studies. But I'm more focused on getting the place protected for now. Yeah? And I'm pretty sure that there's a research facility in UKM and there's a dedicated team there. I believe they'll be. I hope that.
Dato, the time now is past a few minutes past 5. I need advice with regard to.
I mean, if people, we still have 62 participants on, and there's still a few more questions, so we can carry on for a bit longer if you available and you'd like to answer the questions.
Okay, I think we'll carry on a little bit more. I think not many. All right.
Choose the easy ones.
This question came from Nurin Nabiha. I think she is too proactive. I don't know whether you, Andrew, want to answer this. There's a new mining project coming up in Hutan Sipan Som. What is the best way we could do to protest it? No, I wouldn't dare.
Yeah, well, it's on my Facebook too. Yeah, and some NGOs have also posted up on Facebook. The good thing is there's also an EIA report out, and this is a big, massive area again. I think this is for gold or some mining that's going to go on. Yeah. So if you Google again, you'll see the linkages to the DOE page. I think the public feedback period is just finished. A lot of us have submitted our comment to it to get the government to cancel this project. Yeah. So without the EIA report being out, no one would have known about this. Yeah. So a lot of us have already made comments to the SOM the mining project. Yeah. So thank you for highlighting that.
This gentleman, anonymous attendee, still pursuing, you know. The award benefits the country as well, of course. You know, this is our first MAB Biosphere site, but he or she, I don't know, say the federal government should have, in the first instance, to have some control. As I said just now, the federal government is a party to UNESCO, but the land and everything else belong to the state. What Andrew was trying to tell us just now, either the state government or the district office or another body is the caretaker of this site in Pahang. Just like the Crocker Range Man and Biosphere site is taken care of by, not the federal government again, by Taman Sabah, because it is in the national park. But if there is anything happening either in Crocker Range or in Tasik Chini, you and I, anybody can write a letter to UNESCO, can write a letter to the federal government, and in this case, federal government will again bring the matter to the state government. Hey, what's going on, and so on. You know, there is a control. But Unanimous is not happy with that. He or she, again, I don't know. He might be a he. Andrew, what do you think the Plan Transformasi Industri Mineral Negara 2021, 2030? Is this a bad idea in light of what's happening in Tasik Chini?
Actually, I'm so sorry. I have no idea what Plan Transformasi Industry is. It looks like an interesting. It looks like an interesting plan. It has a wonderful title to it. I have not read it. I'm so sorry. I cannot comment on this. Okay, but any plan is a good plan if it's being followed. Yeah. Tasik Chini is a good case study, and that's why we're here today. Yeah, looking at Tasik Chini as a case study. Our only agenda is to make sure it's highlighted in an appropriate light, and for the state government and even the federal to take some action, to start a conversation and to throw information and even to throw some recommendations around. So thank you, Anonymous, for pointing that out. I'm so sorry, I do not know what the plan is, but any plan that protects and sustains some industry is a good plan.
I think the attendee knows that in the land classification of our country, mineral is top priority. Agriculture, forestry, Andrew, Latiff, all at the back. Now, what I am afraid in this case, in the Plan Transformasi Industri Mineral Negara 2021-2020 is, I believe in sustainability. I don't believe in prior prospecting. Prior prospecting means Andrew can be a prospector, goes to a place saying there is a mineral here. What will you do? You deforest the area and try to dig and no mineral, but the forest gone. Now, we just love not to repeat this kind of what we call prospecting in that sense that had happened in the 70s, in the 80s, But I hope, I'm wrong here. Anand, pursue this. Land is a state matter, yes. The Menteri Besar holds the key, yes. There is a national land code, but it passes authority to the state, yes. So we must appeal to the MB. Andrew?
That's a statement. That's a statement.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Good, because we must hold him to account, because he's the boss. He's the man. He's the administrator of the state.
Vanessa.
The next question is that's my question, which I asked you earlier.
Okay, I think about the Naga. Andrew say it is a myth.
The Naga is a myth, but the stories about the possibility of an archaeological site being there.
I've not seen any data on that. I don't know. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I wish
I haven't heard anything recently. Apparently, someone did answer. They said UKM has done a study on that.
Oh, okay.
So I shall do some more research.
Anand pursue on EIA, Andrew. He was saying like 2009 is a very critical year. How did the 2021 EIA even be allowed to be done in the first place?
Well, this is the state of affairs for many industries in our country. It would seem, But the good thing is, at least there's an EIA. At least the developers have to do a EIA study, and it has to come out with the public feedback process. Thank God we still have that, in that sense. So yes, if an area has been designated, what they've done is they've only protected the lake and a small chunk of forest around it. But they slept on the wheel, and they allowed mining licenses, logging, and even the plantations to come even before that. So the mining is newer than the plantations, of course. But so this is a very important point, and obviously I don't know how that was missed. But thank you for pointing that out, Anand.
Anonymous attendee came back.
Professor, I suspect that it's not one person.
You think so?
I think it might be just people who don't put their names.
All right. He is trying to blame the current pandemic virus 29. Is it a barrier to the state government in taking action to stop the present destruction? I don't think so. What do you think, Andrew? Is it because of the pandemic?
I think it's probably helped. It probably has helped, don't you think?
Most likely. But we shouldn't have to wait for a pandemic to do the right thing in that sense. The destruction has been going on for many years. So hopefully with this pandemic, and if it's prolonged, hopefully people don't resort to quickly just approving mining and destructively excessive activities such as that to make up for lost income.
This question came from I think a new person, Siti Zafirah Ali. If you said, Andrew, it was some kind of mismanagement, there are a lot of acts and guidelines for them to follow before they can proceed the mining projects. So does it mean that the enforcement is weak?
Most likely, I don't have all the answers, but yes, there's a local plan. There's a development plan. You know, there are many plans. You know, and there's a land code as well. Yeah, so Guna Tanah is always a big issue. You know, there's a special majlis in the EXCO meetings when they discuss about it. Yeah, so enforcement, obviously, we can do a lot better in terms of enforcement. Yeah. To keep an eye on all the developments that's happening and so on. But the point is that enforcement is only at the tail end. How was it enforced in the first place? Yeah, all the loopholes and so on. Yeah.
The next question, I can answer this. Does the water from this lake supply to any dam? No. In fact, this Tasik is formed by Sungai Pahang initially. And the ID block, I think there was a construction of the water weir, and that makes there is no interflow between Sungai Pahang proper with Tasik Chini. But as Andrew just said, that it helps to mitigate flood. There is now not a question, but what I consider a briefing by Dato Musrifah. A lot of programs on saving Tasik Chini have been carried out by UKM. And one of the many programs is awareness program. PPTC, UKM have been doing it till now. So that is just a statement. And Musrifah carry on saying, regarding who should pay for conservation of Tasik Chini, there is what we call as the sinking fund. Can anybody elaborate further? Sinking fund. And Andrew?
Not sure. Yes, not sure. There are a lot of documents I think we can ask, whether it's covered by official secrets or so on. But we need to know exactly when mining licenses are issued. You know, what are the conditions and parameters that come with that? You know, are they liable for any damage caused? You know, are they supposed to rehabilitate when they finish? You know, so such in the case of forested areas, there was a provision long ago. After the loggers log, they're supposed to replant. Yeah, so now that seemed to have disappeared on the Forestry Act or something like that, because after the loggers take their logs, they go into joint venture with oil palm and even rubber plantations. Yeah. So again, the devil is in the details. You know, what happens in terms of a license being issued and so on, and in it, who should pay for any cleanup after that? Yeah.
There's a new question coming from Shazrul Fazri, who started by saying, hi, Andrew, and hi to me, hi. In our opinion, is it possible that the management of Tasik Chini is given to the community or the NGO? Is it possible to be given this task to restore at hand?
Yeah, I think community-based tourism and community-based conservation, I think it's a growing trend. I think it's something is very interesting. It's very interesting. It's something that the state and federal should look into, you know, because if you can have a separate body based on local communities, you know, where they can defend and take care and manage the area, I think it'll be perfect. It'll be beautiful. Yeah. So I really like this. I really like this idea. You know, again, if the state and the powers that be feel that somebody else should run it, a big institution or a new steering committee, I'm all for it. Yeah. But this is a good idea that the community takes charge of the lake. That's interesting.
Well, this is asking for a plan. You know, the question came from Agnes Chan, but she addressed it to Jimmy Lim. Hi, Jimmy Lim here. How do you want to go about saving Tasik Chini? Any plan?
No, I think it's actually from Jimmy Lim, but posted by Agnes Chen.
Okay. Any plan, Andrew?
Oh.
Saving Tasik Chini?
well, we are focused on stopping the destruction first. And you know, there are a lot more, way more experts than me that can come up with beautiful plans to protect. Yeah. But the question now is we have to stop the rot first. Yeah. We have to protect it first. Yeah. And the region has started the ball rolling. He wants the place to be protected. He wants the bigger buffer zones or more areas to be gazetted. The second question, which remains unanswered, what happens to the current license holders? Yeah? So no news coming out from the district office yet on that. So once the area has been protected, then we can go about saving it, you know, from itself and try to rehabilitate.
The next two are clarification. I think I'm very happy to have this clarification. The first came from Juai Ria Ho. Just for our information, he said the boundary of Tasik Chini Biosphere, the core, the buffer, and the transition zone were identified in the 2009 Tasik Chini Strategic Implementation Plan. Later, the boundary was gazetted in the Rancangan Kawasan Khas RKK of Tasik Chini. All done, really good. I believe the application to UNESCO was based on the boundaries. I think Mushifa can answer this. Therefore, it should be followed as the SIPTC was a detailed study undertaken by UKM and PCER. I think, all right, I'll stick there. And I'll go on for another clarification coming from Unku Hadi. Just recently, a meeting with DOE, there'll be a environmental management plan prepared and mentioned in the EIA report. Is this the case where EIA was approved, though not properly scrutinized, or enforcement is in question? I don't know anything.
There's a recent DOE meeting. Well, that's interesting. If there's going to be a management plan, I think it'll be good. It's towards the tail end, of course, but it's nice to see information or like this coming out in the public arena so that we can read and understand. If EMP was asked to be developed now, I think it'll be good, yeah, in a sense. But the question now is, are they going to allow the new license to take effect or not? Yeah, so that we not heard back from the state. You know? A new license was someone applied for it. There's an EIA report out for it, and because of this latest issue that has been raised, we don't know whether that license now has been declined or not. We don't know. But thank you for sharing, Unku. I'm not privy to any DOE meetings recently, so hopefully we hear something in the news.
Oh, it's a good information. It's a very good information. The next question came from our friend Andrew Ishaq Arifin. There was a strategy implementation plan, SIP, yes, for Tasik Chini Biosphere Reserve prepared by ECERDC, yes, and the proposal were later incorporated in the RKK Tasik Chini, yes. This is a very powerful tool, RKK, or special area plan. What happened to this plan, Andrew? He's trying to pull your leg.
I wish, yeah, I know. I wish I can answer you, you know. I wish I have all information right now for you, but there seem to be a lot of good plans, yeah. Seem to be a lot of good plans. When we submitted Tasik Chini for UNESCO listing, we put all the nice things, you know, and they told you, yes, they told Malaysia, for this to be approved, you need to have a buffer, you need to have a core buffer and transition area and so on. We agreed. We said, yes, it's going to be here, and here. Everything is good, you know, tick all the boxes, yeah. But what has happened now, you know, in 2021? You know? Extensive mining going on in all corners, you know, especially. So, good question to ask. What happened to all those plans? It's very nice plans.
Dato, can we stop at 5:30?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking exactly the same thing.
Okay.
So there's a few more questions. I think that would take us.
I think the question
you don't mind? Are you quite happy to answer?
By you on archaeology, I think Dato Mushifa answered.
Yes,
I think you
I've
can.
actually I sent her a message also to say,
yes,
like if there's any more information about the study.
yeah, archaeology. I think Shazrul Fazri again, Andrew, in your opinion, is there a better way to educate the stakeholders for the benefit of preserving the nature compared to other economic activities?
Yeah.
All issues, Andrew?
I don't know whether it's a carrot or a stick approach. I think, I think the policymakers, the people that make final decisions, I think they all need to go to nature camp or something like that. They need to understand, they need to learn exactly why ecosystem services, ecological services are important. Yeah. So we have to educate stakeholders. Stakeholders are down the line, but I think we have to educate the policymakers and so on. That certain natural heritage should be preserved at all costs.
And Duai Riako came back telling us that the SIPTC also proposed that the TCB Art to be managed by TCB Tasik Chini Board, I think, isn't it? Or Tasik Chini what?
I think, I think it's a board.
It's a board.
I've not heard of this. I should have, but I'm sorry, I have no information about that. But a lot of things should have been done. Yeah, a lot of things should have been done. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, just like what you said just now, I mean, the paperwork, the document, everything are in proper order. I think they are on the shelf, on the table, very good. I mean, some are colorful, but my perception, I might be wrong, my perception was on the ground for the last few years had been, somehow escaped our attention. What do you think, Andrew?
Yes, I agree with you, Prof. A lot of consultants have done a lot of work and made a lot of money preparing beautiful documents. Color coded, beautiful maps. GIS, satellite images. Beautifully worded documents that thick. Goes into beautiful plans. Some even do coffee table books. Stuff like that. So a lot of nice things have happened, but in the details and towards the end when implementation, it all falls apart. Yeah, unfortunately for the case of Tasik Chini. And you are right, Prof. I think too many beautiful things written, but on the ground it lacks. Yeah, Indah Kabar dari Rupa, I think that's the word.
Mohamad Saari asked, is there any plan to include ecosystem reserve Tasik Chini to be part of education? Of course, I think with the establishment of Pusat Penyelidikan Tasik Chini by UKM, it is meant for education, not only for the universities, but also for the school children. And as Andrew also pointed out that the opportunities to do edu-tourism has a great potential here. I think Sophie Tam asked one final question, I hope. For all the environmental destruction going on in Pahang, is the Pahang region asking for an investigation into the Pahang Forestry Department? No, I don't think so. I don't think the Pahang region has asked for the investigation. I think I may be wrong here. The Pahang region was so, I would say, Andrew, I would say, well, you use the word shock.
I mean, he didn't ask me to join him for his trip, but I only read from the newspapers like many people. Yeah, but he did suggest, not suggest. I think he did implore the state to improve the buffer zones. Yeah, in the sense. So
and I think the forestry department has put two initiatives. I think to extend the forest reserve and also to start thinking of replanting.
Yes.
Have you heard of that, Andrew?
Yes, I saw it on Facebook, and they're going to go ahead and replant some of the areas. I think that's good. But most important, they need to take stock of what's happening, especially for Tasik Chini itself. It's a good case study where if you do this right, I think we can rehabilitate. Nature can come back at some point. If there's enough connectivity, and enough effort being put, and no more, of course, no more land clearance and no more conversions of the areas around it. I think it can be done. Thank you, Sophie, for the question.
Tan Si Shu again asked a very general question with regard to the similar features of freshwater lake in other countries. I think you have got to seek the help of Mr. Google. Don't you? I think you go Danau Toba, for example, you go many, there are many in the world, the natural freshwater lake. Ungku Hadi came back. The government has also launched the Dasar Perhutanan Malaysia 2021. Yes, Malaysia Forestry Policy. It is hoped that conflicting with the mineral transformation plan may not happen. No, in the Malaysia Forestry Policy, it doesn't touch the priority of mineral over forestry, but this is in the land classification. Anand, is there any conservation tourism master plan? Aha, Andrew, are you aware?
I think previous to the gazettement, I think there was a plan done to get the place designated, but I don't think it's been followed or put in place in so much, Yeah, I have no information about that, but I'm pretty sure there was a plan put in place, not a master plan, but maybe a sustainability plan in that sense.
This is another question, very proactive from Tanshu, Andrew. Could a private investor come in to do this?
Oh, why not? If the state government likes the formula, even a national trust, to come and take over and lease that area from the government, and manage the area will be good. And it's not the first time it's happened around the world, but private investors can come in and protect and lease or buy properties and turn them into a conservation site. Why not? Thank you.
Okay, ladies and
gentlemen. I think Juwaria's comment afterwards about the TCB, the Tasik.
Yes. I'm going to
required, but
I don't think I just wonder. Juwaria seems to know a lot. Okay.
A lot about it.
Yeah. TCB is Tasik Chini Management Board, and you are right. As required by UNESCO, correct? It was to be established after TCBR was designated. Unfortunately, it did not materialize.
Perhaps that's what needs to be done to have to manage the whole area. Thank you. I think we have to end there. It's 4:30 now.
Thank you. I just say a few words, then I will hand over to Darin. It has been a good afternoon on my part, at least, to moderate the presentation by my good friend Andrew Sebastian. And I think, I don't know how many are on the webinar, but let's say 50 or 100 or 150. I think all of us are enlightened by the issues. And I think all of us may have a role to play in one way or the other. We all love our natural resources. I think we all love Tasik Chini, being our first man and biosphere reserve in the country. The second is the Rocker Range. And I think Penang Hill is coming possibly to be the third, and maybe a biosphere. And I'm so happy also, we have got many Ramsar sites now, 7 or 8. And I think there's something on the offering also. I think the Kuala Gula area may come back as a Ramsar site, the mud flats where migratory birds land. So it has been a good afternoon. And once again, it is a pleasure for me to moderate Andrew Sebastian presentation. It is an honor. And once again, thank you very much, Dato Zahin, the president of Badan Warisan Malaysia.
I'm actually the deputy president, not the president.
Well, in UMNO, it is both. So I'm sorry, I'll say you are the deputy president. Nice to meet you on the screen. I think I haven't met you in person as yet. So over to you, Dato, to say a few words to conclude the session.
Andrew, did you want to say anything before you?
Thank you for the opportunity to present and to have a discussion. It's been very lively. Thank you very much. Over to you, Dato. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you both, Andrew and Professor Dr. Abdul Latiff. Thank you very much for being our guest moderator, and thank you, Andrew, for a very enlightening talk on Tasik Chini. I learned a lot this afternoon from having very little knowledge growing up. My father talking about the Naga Tasik Chini and about the possible ancient city that's there. That's all I knew about it. So it's really quite tragic what's happened so far. But I think with a concerted effort from all sides, things can be done to hopefully preserve what's there and to continue to rehabilitate the area as well. Thank you all the attendees who've attended this afternoon. Badan Warisan Malaysia is a registered charity. We do not receive any government funding. We rely on the generosity of individuals and corporations. So if you feel like donating, please, the details are here. If you feel like joining us, Badan Warisan, our main focus is on the preservation and conservation of built heritage, though we do support other groups like today about that try to conserve natural heritage and other intangible forms of heritage as well. So follow us on our website, Facebook page, Instagram, and if you feel like supporting us, please do. We are, especially in the past year, it's been very difficult to run our usual events and keep our office open. So we do have the Rumah Penghulu Abu Seman, which is at 2 Jalan Stoner, which is open to the public, but it has not been since the pandemic started. So please, thank you again for supporting us. And we leave you with our video about Badan Warisan. Thank you very much.